everything this kid does is wrong, but no adults take the time to slow down and explain any of it to him, or until the end of the movie to ask him why he's this way. And again, where I say this way, he's not a bad kid. He does some bad things, but even those things are largely not the worst things in the world. But you can just tell, like, the persistent nature of this misbehavior has made his parent or all of his caretakers so exhausted of him that they just don't know what to do with him. And that
I
they
think
punish him harder and
right.
with more anger. And sorry, but there's the one part where he actually tries to do a good school project and get a good grade, but he doesn't have the integrity or maybe the attention span, and he plagiarizes Nietzsche, I believe it was.
You might be right.
And he's like, that's his eureka moment, but his eureka moment is to steal somebody else's good ideas. And of course the teacher catches him, and that's just another blow.
So that's
of the 400.
I think that's a great parallel, because in art that stealing is a great idea. And it's highly rewarded. So that was interesting. But I mean, that's what people do. Like, that's the limitation of the parenting system that we have right now in this world, right? You're a kid, unfair things are happening to you constantly all the time.
And you don't understand
You don't understand it. You don't have the coping mechanisms. You don't have the tools to deal with it. So the way you deal with it is to be a jerk and to mess everything up and want to destroy
and have
the
some
world
semblance
that's
of
destroying
control. Some
Absolutely.
semblance of control over the path that your day-to-day life
Absolutely.
is taking. And that's the other thing is about how confusing or the fact that kids don't necessarily understand. Again, we as adults have their best interest at heart, but
some of us.
Yeah, but we don't to have the time or the energy to convey it in the most perfect sociological textbooky sort of way to deal with every single kid out there. And so we get frustrated and we get tired. And the way that, so let's say a kid is, I don't know, playing with fire. And you come over and you grab his arm as hard as you can because you're freaked out. You're worried. You're like, he's going to hurt himself. He's going to hurt our property, whatever. But to a child, that's got to be so confusing and it make you seem so fickle.
Sure.
That you can snap from, oh, honey, I love you so much and I want the best for you, to, you little rat bastard, don't you know better, and again, with no life perspective or life experience accumulated, that just, we as adults must be so confusing to kids. And I remember when I was a kid vaguely that I didn't always understand the motivations of adults. I just knew that I had to do what they said.
I very quickly, this is going to sound bad.
I was a more compliant child than Adam was, by the by, so we will have different angles.
Well, here's the thing. I was an extremely compliant child until I hit puberty, and then it all went downhill from there. So my experience was, I considered myself at some point more intelligent than the people raising me, and that made me angry and disappointed in them.
Yeah,
is how it went. Now, whether that's true or not is a matter of opinion, I suppose, or maybe it isn't. But that's how I felt at the time. But I empathize with this boy's situation a lot. I acted out a lot when bad things happened to me,
and that's what it is. It's acting out.
Sure,
it's all a response to some other stimuli. Kids are not ever. They don't misbehave just because kids come prepackaged that way.
Exactly. But so many people think that, don't they?
Yeah. And we find out later in the movie that he does have a bunch of, what's the word I want? It's not luggage, but you know what I mean. Baggage, same thing. A bunch of things that he's gone through that have given him reason to not maybe trust adults or to behave the way he does, because he doesn't feel like adults are on his side. And as evidenced by the fact that there is not a single adult in this movie who qualifies as a good person, you can understand that.
Surely not.
Beautiful characterization. This entire world is populated. There's not one I'm thinking of Possession right now with the teacher who's so friendly, the green-eyed teacher.
Yeah.
And there's
none of those.
There's no
no
one like
green-eyed
that.
teachers in 400 Blows.
There's no hero in this movie to come and protect this kid or to usher him in the right direction, like we said earlier.
It's a punk rock movie. It's a directly influenced John Lydon movie to me, because that's true. It's this film is what is this is you might think this is a strange parallel, but this is what is at the heart of every Disney movie. Right? Like, you have to go out and have an adventure by yourself.
Yeah.
And figure things out.
Yeah. So, again, before I get to, again, we're drifting from abstract back to, because we're not going on beat by beat this time of the movie. But I wanted to say that when he leaves, when he skips school with his buddy, they go to like a fair sort of thing.
Yes,
and he gets in the centrifuge thing where it starts spinning real fast.
Yeah, I wish I knew what that was called.
I'm just gonna say centrifuge.
Centrifuge is a good name.
It's using centrifugal force at any rate, but
that's a scientist.
Crazy cool scene.
It is, isn't
it's
it?
So neat to look at. It's so well shot. So creatively shot. I mean, they had to have had this like a camera mounted to the middle of it, watching him go by. A camera that was spinning along with him. A camera that showed the people watching from above, you know.
Exactly.
And the whole time he's like twisting up and like getting off his feet, and like he's like sideways for a while. And I know there's some sort of symbolism there. Just, I guess, I'm about not being constrained by, because nobody else is doing that.
That's a good
You know what I
point.
mean? He's the only one who's acting out in some way. He's acting, he's moving and having to have his own angle on things and to do things his way for a minute. So, at any rate, let me just look at my notes here for a quick.
I am enjoying that your notes are no longer from Wikipedia. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Although that was funny the first few times it happened.
Yeah. But so anywho, he almost burns down the house when he lights a candle for Nietzsche.
That's
while
right.
he's doing his study or the apartment, whatever.
Is that when he's on?